Oh, hey there. Listen, you kind of caught me in the middle of some important stuff. Okay, fine, what do you want? What do you want to hear about this time? Okay, yeah, no, hold on, that's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I can do it, just... Here, can you start up some music or something? It helps me ramble. Politics. Politics. What is a politics? Who are these people? Why is the Crypt Keeper in charge right now? And why does your opinion matter? All of this and more on today's episode of In the Classroom. Let's start with the basics. What's a political party? Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not a big get-together where Mitch McConnell's like breakdancing and Chuck Schumer's yakking in the corner. Although now that I think about it, it would be hilarious to see Nancy Pelosi doing a keg stand. A political party is a group of mostly geriatric people with similar political beliefs, seeking to control the government by winning elections, holding office, etc. The political parties seek to act as a link between the masses and the ivory towers of influential positions in the federal government. Political parties lie on this giant spectrum, each being a bit closer to one end than the other. You can think of the two major parties in this country like a weirdly colored game of chess. The government acts like the board, while the representatives, governors, Supreme Court justices, and alike all act as the pieces. The president acts as the head of the party, and there's a person below him called a chairperson who acts like a second in command. National levels of political parties use something called a convention, where they get together and organize or coordinate themselves. Now, how do these people get into power? Well, voters, of course. You know what voting is. I know what voting is. It's you letting the government know who or what you like or support. But...
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman. Did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do.
Voter rights are relatively straightforward. The right to vote, also known as suffrage, is protected by a multitude of things, such as the 15th Amendment, which granted African American men the right to vote, the 19th Amendment, which granted all women the right to vote, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which further outlawed racial discrimination during the voting process, and finally, the 26th Amendment, that let any American citizen over the age of 18 vote in general elections. Now we know about voters and voters' rights, but let's pull a Minority Report and analyze the behaviors of voters. And to lay out the foundation of voter behavior, we need to talk about the people who don't. Okay, in all honesty, researching voter behavior is nowhere near as cool as Minority Report, just a bunch of polls and stuff. Pretend it looks awesome, though. We're talking about non-voters. They are people who, for one reason or another, just don't vote. Be it because they dislike the candidates, the voting process is too tedious and inconvenient for them, physical or mental illness, or they distrust politics and or the voting system. There are many factors that play into voter behavior, the primary ones being sociological, education, age and gender, geography, etc. Someone might choose to vote for or against certain politicians because of their religious background or ethnic background. If an individual is more invested in family-oriented values, they probably won't vote for somebody like Leviticus Baby Kicker. And because like-minded people usually cluster together and stay in close proximity, assumptions can be made on people's choice for election picks. Let's take this guy for an example. This is Dale. Dale is white, 52 years old, and lives in the Midwest. Which major political party do you think he likes the most? That's right! Lord Buckethead's Galactic... Let's talk elections. How do the people in elections get picked? Well, at lower levels of government, the candidates usually nominate themselves to run, and if that isn't the case, a caucus elects them, which is similar to the Republicans and Democrats nominating one of their people to represent the party in the presidential election. And once the parties have settled on a person to represent them, it's time to vote. On a Tuesday after the first Monday in November, people from all sorts of backgrounds and walks of life show up to vote in what's called the primary presidential election. People go to a secure location or a website, etc., to send in their vote. And if you want your vote counted a little bit early, you can also fill out a mail-in ballot to vote. Once all of the votes in the country are cast, they are tallied up and totaled. Then, all of the states see which party got the most votes. The party with the most votes per state wins that particular state. All states are worth a different amount of points. This is called the Electoral College. There are a total of 538 points up for grabs in a given US election. That number of points is the total number from all states combined, and some states are worth quite a bit. Like for instance, New York is worth 29 points, while New Hampshire is worth 4. So candidates are constantly vying for control of these heavy-hitter swing states. Once a candidate has won over 270 points worth of states, they win the presidential election. Now, let's shift our focus to the people who try and influence the policies of candidates and your opinion on certain topics. Interest groups. Interest groups are private organizations that try to persuade people to endorse the shared message of its members. You probably have heard of many interest groups without knowing that that's what they really are, like PETA, BLM, the NRA, the AARP, the ACLU, etc. These interest groups are motivated to push their agendas onto politicians and the public because of financial incentives provided by lobbyists. It's important to note that while certain groups share messages with a given political party, the two don't share the same purpose, because interest groups solely push their message, even if it isn't promoting the best interest for us, the people. Not to mention, groups with the most money have the most power compared to their contemporaries. And let's not forget these groups having a shared history of bribery, money dangling, and extortion, which directly undermines democracy. Hey, so wait, who else is trying to influence my views? I hear you ask. And to that, I say the mass media. Most major news stations cater to certain sides of the political spectrum, working to demonize or glorify any given topic non-stop, in a bid to control and influence your opinion. Speaking of your opinion, what is it? Well, public opinion is the collective attitudes held by a significant number of people on matters concerning the government or politics. It is formed through a lifetime of life experience, social climate, and teachers like our family and schools. In conclusion, we aren't born with our opinions. They are taught to us. Our opinion matters. It influences our votes, and our votes mean a lot, because they directly influence how our country will be run moving forward. And that is why the swaying and control of our thoughts and opinions is such a lucrative business. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.